Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new podcast we're starting called Field Stories. Nearly butchered it already. First thing I had to do, I nearly butchered it. My name is Nick Smith.
My name is Chris Ketola.
Okay, we got through that bit. So after a lot of deliberation, we finally came to the really complicated name of Field Stories. So I'm going to let Chris get us away with oh, what a mess. It's fine, we'll carry on. So you're going to introduce what's happening here, and we're going to go from there.
I mean, I'm not sure what's happening here, Nick, but basically, I guess the story I'm going to tell at the end of this first episode is kind of the inspiration for this whole idea. But basically, having worked here for a while, I've experienced some things that to probably the average person would seem pretty crazy,
for sure.
But what you realize is when you work in the field, these stories become almost normal. Like everybody who does this type of work has these insane stories, which to people who don't do this work are just like, what the heck? But to us, it becomes kind of normal. And I thought it'd be really cool to share that and give a kind of behind the scenes glimpse of what we kind of consider normal. And then I always thought it'd be cool to be able to share more of the actual research and the life that we lead and the work we're trying to do as well. So it's not trying to find a way to blend the important work we try to do as conservationists, biologists, and ecologists, but also the crazy, funny, and sometimes really heartwarming stories that go along with that. So I always kind of wanted to see that happen, and I finally found somebody crazy enough to do it with me. So there we go.
Well, I think we work well together because you've had lots of time in the field. You're really like on it. You've done so much in terms of your research and conservation. You've got some funny stories to tell. I'm very much like up and coming. I'm very keen. I want to get involved, but I'm still up and coming, so I can learn a lot. We can chat a lot, but sort of different perspectives. So someone who's already been there and done that, someone who I might relate more to the audience and go, "Whoa, actually, what the hell? That's crazy." Well, you were just saying that kind of normally, and this is a bit crazy. So I think we're going to introduce ourselves and what basically who we are and what we do. And so I'll let you go first, Chris, on that one.
Yeah. So my current title, I guess, would be Head Field Research Coordinator at Fauna Forever. Fauna Forever is a NGO that's based in southeastern Peru. And currently we're working actually in the Madre de Dios region, Tambalpata River specifically. We're actually in a field site called Secret Forest as we're recording this. And we're right now, we're about 500 meters from the Tambalpata River, actually, just into the forest. And yeah, Fauna Forever does a lot of work here, long-term research, focused research programs, education for volunteers and interns, such as Nick. And also recently, we've begun doing field work in Uganda, which is super exciting. And yeah, we got lots of exciting plans in the future, which hopefully our viewers, as we grow to millions, will hear about as we chat. And then in terms of my background specifically, I'm from Canada, and I've worked with in captive breeding projects and educational work and field research in Canada for over 15 years before I came to Peru, about over 5 years ago now. And my areas of specialty are birds, reptiles, amphibians, bats, and basically terrestrial vertebrates. That's really my area of specialty. So you're not going to hear me spending a lot of time talking about trees. They're awesome, but they're not my specialty. But yeah, other things, that's my background, basically.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. So obviously I've been able to experience a lot of the jungle life with Chris, and I've learned a lot. So look forward to the stories, but also the knowledge that's going to come with the podcast too. And so obviously for me, a little bit different. Mainly come from like playing a lot of sports, a lot of a big sport background. But essentially I had a pretty big sort of problem a couple of years ago, that basically stopped me from playing sports properly. I was a personal trainer in the gym. It was some sort of down that route of like gym, sport, fitness, and essentially I had a bit of a lung issue.
Bit of a lung
issue. Basically, my lung collapsed several times. Had a bit of surgery. It's fine, whatever.
No big deal. You only need one. It's fine. Yeah.
Whatever. But that bit isn't important. The fact is, actually, I tell a lot of people it's actually probably one of the best things that happened to me in a strange way, because now I've really found my passion, which is definitely wildlife and conservation, and trying to really, really help improve the environment we've got and preserve the animals within it specifically. So the way I'm going about that is I'm at university now studying a course called Marine and Natural History Photography. So I've got that one out of the way. That was the nervous one. So, but essentially, it's a course that it engulfs a lot of nature. But essentially, you can make that what you want. So I take a lot of photos of wildlife, specifically birds, in and around the UK, which is where I'm from. But wider variety of animals in a place like this, where I mean, there's so much, there's so much life.
Absolutely.
It's like a playground.
You never get bored here. Really.
Oh, it's amazing. So hopefully one day I'm going to be going down the filmmakers route and sort of go into that direction. So I've come to Temple Parter area with Chris to basically document the reserve and basically the wildlife and the project involved.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit on us there. Okay. So you're probably wondering why we're in the jungle. So essentially, I'm working closely with Chris, who manages the research at Fauna Forever, and he's going to talk a little bit about the conservation efforts that go on behind the scenes here.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, Fauna Forever has, I mean, there's many different things we do throughout the year, as you already know.
Yeah, cool.
But I would say we have basically 5 core teams that work, that are active either year-round or for significant periods of the year. And those would be in no order of importance. I don't want to offend anybody.
Wow,
But yeah, basically they would be major taxa, so birds and large mammals. So when I say large mammals, I mean tapirs, jaguars, monkeys, that type of thing. Reptiles and amphibians, which is basically one team that works together, even though they're different groups of animals. Bats, and also botany, so looking into trees, the tree diversity, forest structure, etc. So those are the 5 teams that are active throughout most of the year. And a lot of the work we do on a daily basis is what we would consider to be long-term monitoring. So instead of having like a start date and an end date where we have a specific question and we answer it by the end, it's more open-ended. We keep going because we want to understand trends in populations. We want to understand trends year to year, within seasons, between sites. We want to be able to compare data and look at how the animal populations are doing across our site, but the whole area in general. Because Fauna Forever has worked historically in nearly 50 sites across the Madre-de-Dios region. And we can talk about it a little bit later, but we have plans to do even more of that hopefully in the future. So a lot of our work, for example, like an average day on mammal team is, starting at 6 a.m. and going out and doing transects, looking to hopefully see the glimpse of an agouti, which is a medium-sized, kind of like a half-sized capybara rodent, or maybe a group of, howler monkeys in the tree. And later on today, a mammal team might be reviewing camera trap videos for 3 hours. A normal day for birds is getting up, really early, 4:30.
Very early.
Very early, yeah, horribly early, to be honest. I love birds, but I hate the mornings. It's terrible. I mean, God, why do birds have to be active so early? It's a curse.
It's a real nightmare.
It's a nightmare. Anyway, so yeah, we wake up at 4:30 and we're into the jungle before it's light and opening mist nets to catch birds at the crack of dawn, so like 10 o'clock, and then sometimes later in the afternoon putting data in. Reptile amphibians, herps as we call them. Yeah. That team's going out usually just after dinner for 3, 4, 5 hours and walking trails, looking for snakes and frogs and whatever else we can find. Bats are kind of like birds at night. The nets are open. We catch the bats at night. They're like really bitey birds, but no, they're awesome. And then botany, I think that's kind of a morning or afternoon team going out. A lot of measuring trees. If you love trees and botany, it's great, but it's just a lot of measuring trees. It's really important because everything that we're surveying depends on this forest.
I mean, you can just look around.
Yeah, exactly. We need to understand what this is like. So that's kind of the daily work for that. And then we also host independent research projects. We have a couple going on right now. One on a frog, another one on mammals, actually focused specifically on the diversity and abundance in reserve, the Tampa National Reserve, versus the non-protected side. So those are really big aspects: the long-term research, the focused research question projects. And then also, of course, providing experience and training to people such as yourself and volunteers and interns. And then in terms of, how this data is used, because it's always a question we get asked a lot. It's always hard to explain long-term research because it's one of those things that because it doesn't have a start and end date, it is open-ended. So we don't always know what we're looking for, which might sound strange to some of the viewers. But the important thing is you can't tell if there's been changes if you don't have a starting point, if you can't look at that. So seeing how things react to deforestation, logging, selective logging, where they cut down certain trees, obviously climate change, hunting, gold mining, which is a whole major issue in this region. All these questions, if you don't know where things were and where they are now later on, you just can't see the effect, right? And I think a lot of our viewers might be surprised to know, how little data actually does exist in regions like this. When I came here for the first time, I expected there to be so much information on everything because we hear the Amazon.
You get that impression when you
since
read
we're like
books,
kids, we open the books, we watch the Attenborough shows, and it's like, oh, the Amazon, and you're like, I must know everything. You get here and it's just not true. There are species that they know a lot about, but there's many we still have so much to learn about. So this type of work is used for sharing with the overall scientific community. So we enhance our knowledge to help empower conservation efforts on a more large scale, Amazonian region. But it can also be used in a more local context, to be used with local governments and policymakers for decisions about how to protect forests, what type of logging to allow, what type of logging is too impactful. These are some of the questions that our data has been used for historically and will be in the future. And I mean, an example of that is our founder and managing director, Chris Kirkby. He has been in this area since before the Tambopata National Reserve existed. He was actually involved in the planning of the reserve. Incredible. Okay, and now our data has been used to help assess the success of the reserve in protecting biodiversity. So that's an example of how our data can be used. So it's a huge data set, and it is sometimes hard to quickly explain it. But it's really important to the way it's utilized. And I mean, moving forward as an organization, we're hoping to do this type of work in other countries. Uganda, as I mentioned.
So everything you said there, Chris, is great. And I can really back the fact that this place is animal first. Like Fauna Forever is really conscientious of its conservation efforts, and it's really obvious. So the passion, the drive, the work ethic. I don't think we should talk about that too much straight away, but that might come out in other episodes.
Yeah, that's probably
Chris works extremely hard. I put my hands up and say I have no idea how he does it.
I slept in 2 hours today. I feel lazy.
2 hours.
I feel lazy.
That's
I woke up when the sun was out. I feel lazy. It's terrible.
It's too much. You should be careful on that one. But I just wanted to be really transparent about how I felt before I came. So I was a bit nervous about coming to a new environment. I haven't been to the Amazon jungle before.
Got it. We have a guest host.
We've got a guest. Already. Very nice. Well, we're not in a studio, so there you go. If you had any doubts before, none of this has moved, but there you go.
It's not blue screen. This is
But yeah, essentially, I just wanted to close off on this bit by saying that it's been a real pleasure to be here, and I thank Chris a lot for letting me come here and essentially working really closely with him on all of the different projects. I've been on every single one except for botany. I'll be honest, it's not my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean it's not important. But I've been on every other team and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've got a ton of photos and videos, which I'm sure we'll share on our platform. Yeah. And I just wanted to thank you, Chris, for the opportunity, really.
Yeah, man, it's been great having you. And one of the things we've talked about this a lot. One of the things that's really cool about field work in this environment is you don't get to go home at night, right? No, so we live together every day, nonstop. We're not sleeping together yet, but otherwise we're basically together all the time. And that means that you either kind of don't like each other or you really do. Yeah. And it really forges strong friendships. And that's one of the really cool things about fieldwork as well. Yeah, and that's why some of these stories become really cool and personal as well, I guess that's the outline of the show. What you just saw, a little introduction, cute little banter, and then talk about the guests, which I guess today is us, right? And our background, what we're doing, what is interesting to us, etc. And then, kind of the hook of the show has always been the story. That's why you guys put up with us to get to the story, right? So my thought is, we probably have more than one, but we'll give you one each today. And I thought let's let Nicholas here hit us with his.
Okay. Well, now the terrible banter's out of the way, we can relax a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
We can chill.
No, it's easy.
We can do. This is our specialty, right?
Yeah.
We love telling stories. Everyone.
The only thing we're missing is a pint. We don't have a pint, man. I wish.
British.
I know.
British pint,
man.
Little pubs in our end. It could be a nice pub, this one. But okay, so but essentially, like Chris said, the hook of the show is to be talking about our stories. So we're going to get lots of different researchers and different conservation activists, if you like, who are going to come on and talk about their stories. But we're going to start with ours today. So mine is typically self-deprecating. It's I find it funny, but seriously embarrassing. I don't know why I've chosen this for the first one.
I've never heard this.
This is
new for me. I'm excited.
Both of these stories, actually, you haven't heard. We did this on purpose.
It's true.
So
actually,
live reactions. I'm going to enjoy telling it, but also cringe on the inside. So just be wary of that one.
Here we go.
Okay, so I'll set the scene. I'm traveling on my own. First time I've ever left England on my own.
How old are you at this point?
23.
Okay. Cool. All right. So, moving on.
Yeah, maybe 22, 23.
Yeah,
okay. So not long ago.
Okay.
Which makes it even more embarrassing, which is great. Okay, so that's the set the scene. South Africa, my first destination. Some would say maybe it's a bit of a crazy destination for your first
Or
one.
you might say cliche, but whatever. Come on.
Cliche, boring, standard safaris.
Yeah.
But essentially, I went to this great project called African Impact, where we went out there, and I was there for 6 weeks, where I was doing wildlife photography internship.
Cool.
And it was really fun. Learned all my trades there, and sort of really got to know the wildlife in the area there. But they didn't warn me about essentially what I was going to be in for beforehand. So when I got there, really tired. Okay, so we're talking like 40 hours, like 3 flights, nightmare scenario, like terrible. And I get there, I arrive, I'm settling into camp, and giving us a little safety brief. So it's like 30 minutes just to give us a little bit of insight of what's going to be there and stuff. And so from that point, oh no, I just saw Jasper. We have a live guest. Jasper, join us. Oh my god, midway through the story. Let's go. How we doing, Jasper? How we doing?
Great, but I'm sorry to interrupt.
We have the most polite, nicest person in the world ruining our podcast. Here we go. Okay, we'll get back to the story in a minute. What have you been up to, Jasper? Come on, come in.
Plants. You
Wow,
can see in the
careful with that
backpack a whole lot of plants.
Wow.
I don't know how visible that is.
Lead botanist, Jasper.
Essentially, just converting myself to a botany intern, collecting little by little plants to differentiate the microhabitats of Cristinatus weekly.
There you go. This is the frog project.
There we go.
There we go. It's gone full circle. It's all full looped in.
It's definitely not well polished. It's very raw. You know, it's good.
We
I
like
it. It's very raw. If you wondered if we spent a lot of time polishing the edges, I give you Exhibit A.
We did spend 10 minutes talking about the podcast beforehand.
Well, 13, I think.
13
minutes.
Okay.
I think it was.
Maybe a bit
That's
too
a whole
long.
lot of preparation.
So no, thanks for the guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Jasper, thanks a lot, my friend. We will do.
Yeah, he's got his jeans on too. Nothing says
perfect
jungle
jungle
like
wear.
jeans.
Nothing says you've just come out the pub 2 minutes away
like
down the road and then come into the jungle.
Salmon shirt and jeans. That says jungle to me. That's perfect. Man.
Thanks, Jasper, for the guest. Oh my god. I mean, that was chaos.
Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle. I mean, Jesus. Anyway, so it's completely derailed my story, but that's absolutely fine because the rest is still to come, okay? So I'll set the scene again. So we're back in South Africa. I've just arrived, first time leaving the country. I'm 22, which is way too old to be doing this. But I arrive, we're getting the little safety debrief, and I hear the word scorpion, spiders, centipedes. And so it's sort of about, essentially, don't wear shoes, wear shoes like when you're walking around at night, wear shoes like at all times essentially. Flip-flops are okay in the daytime when you can see, and that's all fun and good, it's all great. So then I'm settling into my room. It's a dorm, it's a male dorm, so there's 8 of us. I'm the 8th of us, 8th person. I'm settling in, I'm getting everything ready. It's pitch black. I'm just using my little flashlight, obviously checking for all these scorpion spiders, which are definitely everywhere.
Of course.
All over the shop.
Absolutely.
Obviously. So I'm really looking hard for these things.
Yeah, of course,
So you can probably see where this is going, but I am then climbing into my bed, and I'm not just going to sleep. I'm just drifting off to sleep. And I wake up in the morning to a video of me in my full clothes with my walking boots on and my socks, my shoes on, fully clothed. Those scorpions and spiders weren't getting in anywhere. But basically, I had misinterpreted don't wear shoes at night, as in wear shoes at night while sleeping. So I'm there in my clean sheets that they just made for me, the people at the project, and I'm in my walking boots, my field clothes, which I've just come in sweaty. I mean, I'm gonna gross everyone out. I was knackered. I don't think I showered.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that.
And I just come in 40 hours.
22-year-old boys don't usually shower.
Yeah, I don't shower now. So
nothing new.
And at that time, and I'm there in all full clothes, and I got a great ripping from the guides because this guy who filmed it, I'm good friends with him now, Ed. He put it into the group chat. Of course, there's this idiot white boy who's never left the country in his full clothes, shoes, walking boots, in bed. God. That is video worthy. Even though he didn't know me, that is a class. I'm glad he did that. Did I recover? Well, kind of. So by recover, I mean like I had a little bit of quite a lot of salad dressing. That was hot sauce, and I ate that with my salad, which obviously takes on the flavor, and I basically burnt my mouth to a crisp. Second day in. So,
okay. Well,
maybe
good start.
Maybe week 1.
Yeah, okay,
or 2,
great start.
Whenever it was, but early doors, right? So I'm really making a name for myself at this place. First time in South Africa.
And I mean, I know how people talk about foreigners coming. Even I do now. Man, they must have shredded you. Like, freaking shredded you to bits. Oh, yeah.
Roasted apart.
You probably still talk about it.
Oh,
I'm sure.
I'm
like still talk about you.
I'm like one of those legends.
They probably use you in the health and safety now. So we had this guy. You can take off your boots at night. Like, honestly.
That video.
You're famous there.
Oh my God. Every time they say, oh yeah, walk around like shoes at night, they make not in bed though. Every time we had this one.
There you go. Think of the help you gave future people. So they now know they can sleep without boots.
Well, I'm just here to entertain. That's all I'm here for. So yeah, that's my incredibly cringy, embarrassing story. It's real. It's horrible, horrifying. It's the worst thing that I could ever say. But it's real life, isn't it? So I'm going to ping it over to Chris, who is going to tell me a story I've not heard before. So I'm actually super excited about this. So Chris, why don't you get us away?
Yeah, well, I mean, as I kind of hinted at in the intro, this is kind of the story, one of the stories that kind of helped inspire me for this idea, because I just think it's such a crazy jungle story. It's such a fieldwork, like things that seem so insane, but eventually almost become sort of normal. Although this one is pretty crazy. So basically, you know that I'm not a huge fan of the whole Sunday fun day idea. I'm always like, anyway. Work every day. But no, I'm not like wasting days. To me is not a big fan of it, but whatever. So we had a Sunday fun day. This was back in 5 years ago, and I'd only been here about a month.
Oh wow!
And this was pretty new to me, so I didn't know a lot of stuff I know now because I'm just an idiot gringo, fresh off the boat, so to speak. So I was told, hey, we have the chance to go to a mammal clay lick. So this isn't like the macaw clay licks you see a lot in videos. This is in the ground on like a little hill in a valley where tapirs, it's kind of hidden. Tapirs and other large mammals come and eat the clay as well. Okay. I know now that going to see one of these is a waste of time because you'll see tracks and never see a mammal unless you set up a hide and wait like a day. Yeah. I didn't know that. I was new. I'm like, ooh, tapir, we're gonna see one. Yeah, definitely. No, stupid. I know. Like, come on. But yeah, we didn't know at the time. But anyway, so everybody's like, yeah, sure, it's a day. That's a boat trip. That's always fun. Let's go. New place. And I do remember, without naming names at all or trying to, I do remember 2 people in camp who, two of them decided not to come, which is always good luck for everybody else, One of them was actually a little hungover, if I remember correctly, from a night in Puerto Maldonado before. Yeah. They'd just come back. And then the other one was just didn't want to get up. They didn't like mornings. They were like, I'm not going to. Yeah, which in hindsight, they definitely regretted that decision. Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, we have got in the boat. We're driving and it's about a half an hour drive. And we're like 10, 15 minutes in. And this is late August. So it's like peak dry season. The river, the Tambopata River is as low as it can be. Okay. And that means there's a lot of beaches, right? And listen, seeing a jaguar anywhere is hard. This area is very difficult. I mean, we're not in the Pantanal where you can see them every day. It's hard. Okay. And it's often a once or twice in a lifetime experience, especially in this area where it's a little bit more disturbed, a little more human activity. They're not common to see. But if you're going to see one, it's usually going to be that season because of the beaches. It's also the time of the year where they often are reproducing. The females are in heat, the males are looking. So it's like your best chance, but it's still like one in a 1,000 thing where you are, right? Yeah. So we're driving along, and we have the boat driver for the day, and our kind of guide for the day is this guy named Cheeky, which anybody who knows this area or has worked with us before, which is probably our only viewers, they probably know of or heard of Cheeky. And Cheeky's just the legend of the area. Like, he's one of those guys, like, he's been here his whole life, and he just knows like kind of everything. Like if you ever need one person to survive with who's trapped in the jungle, it's Cheeky. Like, if I crashed a plane with Cheeky, I'd be like, we're fine. Yeah. We're fine. Like, Cheeky's here. We are totally fine. Like, he's just a crazy that way in a great way. So he's driving the boat, just big smile as always, just whizzing down, And all of a sudden I hear the boat slow a little bit, and he's like, jaguar, jaguar. You know, he's like, oh wow, it's a jaguar. We all look, and on the beach, there's this. Oh yeah, there's just, and it's not like a quick view, right? This thing's just walking, like slowly trotting for. I think it ended up walking a good 300-400 meters, like far, right? And we're just tracing with the boat. It doesn't care that we're there at all.
That's actually incredible.
And as far as we can tell, it was a female. It probably wasn't heat, and she was looking a little bit draggled. I think she, being in heat's hard on females sometimes until they, because they're just focusing only on waiting for reproduction, right? So it's a little hard on them. So we're watching her, and we're like, wow, we're trying to get photos, amazing. And then someone, probably cheeky with his eyes, again, noticed that there's another jaguar on the other side of the river. What are the chances? It's insane, right? Like, my God. So not only that, though, this jaguar, which we believe to be a male, he sees a female. That's why he's there. And he wants the female. And he's like, I don't care if these idiot gringos are in the boat. I want the female. So he just decides, river? Pff, I don't care. And just jumps in the river and starts swimming. So now we have a jaguar here. We have a jaguar swimming across the river in front of us. What the hell?
Just trying to imagine what that would look like.
It's insane. It's just this big head. That's actually pretty funny, yeah. So anyways, this jaguar's trying. He gets about halfway out, and I guess there's a limit, even when you're looking for a booty call. There's a limit, right? At a certain point, you pull the plug on this. And he gets out there, and he's like, "Dude, this is really strong current. I don't think I could do this." And he turns around and goes going back.
Oh my God!
So as he's going back, our boat has kind of drifted to a natural stop on a rocky beach. You see what I mean? And it happens to be the rocky beach that this jaguar gets out of the water at. And he starts climbing these rocks and climbing, and he's 10-15 meters from the end of our boat. It's insane. We could have thrown a little pebble and hit him. He's so close, right? And then he jumps off, and then he starts trotting down toward the boat, actually, before he actually goes back into the edge of the forest, the river edge. And even then, we see his little head in the weeds, kind of sitting there, looking really frustrated.
Unbelievable. That's
insane.
That's
and to show you how lucky it is, I have been here ever since, and I spend most years 11 months in living here. I don't go home every night to the city. I live here. I'm here every day. I'm on the river many days a week. I haven't seen jaguar since. So that I didn't know how lucky it was at the time, because I was just a typical idiot gringo. Wow, this must happen every week. No, amazingly lucky. Okay, so that could be the story, but it's not. It gets crazier.
This isn't the story.
So we keep going down upriver after that, and we get to the site, and it's like a 3-kilometer walk about to get to the clay lake. So it's a typical, tourist train of la-di-da through the jungle. You know how much I love that. I love it. Yeah, it's important for the environment, but also sometimes for me a little bit after this many years. But it's okay. That's just me, because I'm a crusty old man. That's why I love British people. I'm just crusty and kind of dark, So continuing along the trail, and I don't know, 10 minutes in or so, I get something in my eye, just a little bug. And we get these sweat bees, which like to eat and the sweat and the salt from your eyes.
Find some to be.
They're just so annoying. They really are. But they don't sting usually. And we usually don't have an issue. And I thought it was just a sweat bee, so I'm like, get it out, no big deal. A few minutes go on, and it starts to burn a bit, like a little stinging. And I'm like, ooh, what is that? Maybe it's sweat, maybe it's something else. I don't even remember. I might have had repellent on, so I might have thought it was that. I'm not sure. But I'm like, I just got to flush it. So I borrow some water and spray it, keep going. It's still getting worse. It hasn't gotten better. And then I'm like, does anybody else have any other fluid? And my friend Reed, he had these disposable contact lenses. So he's like, hey, you can open it up and just pour that fluid in. Because I use contacts as well. So it's like, well, maybe that'll help, And eventually I even just took the lens out. I'm like, I can't see out of that eye anymore, but I don't care. There's something. But anyway, so we keep going, and man, nothing's working.
Wow.
It's just worse and worse and worse. And I didn't want to stop the group. So we'd been going deeper into the forest. And at this point I start to realize, okay, this is not getting better.
Okay.
I take a photo, I look at the eye, and it's not like the lid's swelling, you know what I mean? Like if you've been punched or an infection in the lid. This is the eyeball is blood red. All the white is red. There's no white left.
The cringe level.
And it's having trouble properly moving the lens of my eye. It's not dilating properly. It's getting blurry. It's scary. Okay. And I've had an injury before. Yeah. I've had a bad injury before in this eye. So this is just flashbacks, but with more pain actually. And I'm getting nervous. I'm going to lie. Cause I'm 3+ hours away from a hospital, at least, maybe 4. So then I'm just like, well, what do I do? I start not panicking, but I'm like, okay, we got to do something here.
Yeah.
So as is expected for a gringo off the boat, sort of, my Spanish was terrible then.
Hello.
Yeah. So when I landed, I think I could say hola. I might have said hola. I'm not sure, but I could nothing. Right? It's better now, thank God. But at the time, I couldn't. I was like useless with Spanish. So my friend Luke, who's like a master of everything in all languages, shout out to Luke if he's watching. I said to him, like, dude, like, yeah, of course he will. Yeah, I was like, I was like, dude, like, you gotta help me. Like, can you ask Cheeky? Because he's our guide. He must know, because Cheeky knows everything. So he goes up. He's like, okay, I'll ask Cheeky. And if you know Cheeky, Cheeky's always smiley and positive. Like, you could tell him the worst news, and he's like, oh yeah, sí, claro, yeah, sí, muy bien. So Luke is just telling him this, and Cheeky's like, sí, claro, sí, sí, ya, no te preocupes, sí, ya, sí, da, sí, muy bien, yeah. And I'm like, what did he say? But Luke's reaction is not so positive. Luke's reaction is kind of like, okay, like, whoa. So he turns around to me and he's like, okay, so Ketola, Cheeky says, you're going to have to pee in your eye.
Oh, God.
And I was like, whoa, what?
Have to?
So, yeah, have to. So apparently there is a small type of wasp that when it's threatened, it doesn't like sting you with the stinger. It like ejects, like it sends out a little droplet of this venom, which if it gets into the eye and penetrates through the tissue of the eye, can cause actual blindness eventually, because it just kills the tissue, right? So it's very dangerous if you don't treat it. And there's something, I mean, I'm not a chemist, but there's something about the acid in your urine that can counteract the venom in this.
Really strange.
Yeah, it's so I mean, how Cheeky knows? I mean, it's just magic. Like, this guy's amazing, right? But I mean, but he's just totally like, oh, I know what that is. Pee in your eye, you know, just because it's Cheeky. So, anyways, my reaction is, dude, I'm not pissing in my eye. Like, there's a couple attractive women around. You know, I'm single. I'm like, dude, I don't want to be piss face Chris. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. No, it's totally fine. But you're single. You got standards, right? Anyways, So yeah, like I'm not gonna do this. But I give it 3-4 minutes. I'm like, okay, fuck, I gotta piss in my eye. So I'm like, Luke, turn around. And so the big question, how'd you do it? Did you bend? Like, I'm not that flexible, okay?
I was gonna ask, how are you doing this?
Like, there's a limit here.
Like
so
good
like,
aim,
yeah,
maybe.
so good aim. Like, no. Basically, it's the good old cup and splash.
Oh, man.
Okay, so this.
Like you're just washing your face in the morning.
I'm literally just
That's
I'm like aiming it for the eye and getting it as maximum. So you got to force your eye open while pee is going in. It's a little bit of willpower.
Wow.
So, anyways, the crazy thing is at the minute it hit my face, two things. One, it was like perfect body temperature, so I didn't feel it, which is really gross and creepy when you think of it. But it's like
weird,
weird
I've never thought of that.
because it's your temp, so you don't even feel it. It's like perfect body temp. It's weird. But then also, as soon as it hit the eye, honestly, the increase of pain leveled off immediately.
Okay.
And within a few minutes, it actually receded. I started to walk again to catch the group because I was like, I don't want to make them wait, and they're getting ahead of me now. And then we stopped at the clay lake, and I was like, okay, it still hurts a bit. I'm going to do it again. Thankfully, I'd reloaded, liquid, a little recharge. Yeah, got to keep that going. And managed to get a few more liters out, And
liters,
milliliters. Let's not go crazy here. And yeah, did it again. And yeah, honestly, by the time we got back to like the port camp area for this location, it basically didn't hurt. It was red and it was gross feeling, but it didn't hurt. So then Cheeky's like not done being magic Cheeky. He pulls me over to this grassy area and he like takes a stalk of grass and he breaks it and he squeezes it and he starts rubbing it. He opens my eye up and he's rubbing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? But basically, this grass, it actually stimulates your eye to like water and cry. Okay. It doesn't hurt it. It helps clean it. So basically, I went from around 11 a.m. that morning, almost potentially facing blindness, to 24 hours later, basically being fine. I mean, I had a shower, thank God, when I got back to camp. Thought about burning the clothes, but basically, it essentially saved my vision, and it's just insane.
That's
and
amazing.
I think about that morning is like I woke up and within basically 2 hours, I went from seeing 2 jaguars to pissing in my eye. And I don't know, like when I think about it now, like at the time, I'm like, this could never happen again. Yeah, well, I will pee in my eye again to see more jaguars. I'm not gonna lie.
I will too.
I think all of us would. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, so I could be really bad to
I
insurance.
know. I was about
like,
to say something.
the way you unlock Jaguars.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stop there. We might get banned. We'll get an R rating on YouTube or whatever.
Oh, wow.
But anyways, before we totally derail, I just think it sums it up. And I look back at it now, and I've got other crazy stories. I mean, I had to pull a spike. Another story. I had to pull a spike on my eye since then, and like crazy things happening. The ripping my arm open with a came-in. Anyways, those are other stories. Point is, now you look at it and you're like, well, that's just life in the field. You know, the stuff that you would think is absolutely insane back home in the normal world. Oh, you just kind of like, yeah, it was crazy, but that's what it is. And I suppose that's kind of the concept of the show, right? Is that I know other people have stories, maybe not about pissing in their eye, but other stories like this where you're just like, a normal person would be like, what? And us in the world of this field work, we're like, yeah, crazy, but I mean, it doesn't shock me.
It happens.
So yeah, trying to share these stories, and
absolutely.
Also, you know, the work that we do that's what the show's going to be, basically.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, firstly, I want to say, I'm glad it was you, because you have contact lenses, and there's not enough Jaguars in the world that could make me hold my eye open whilst I'm putting pee in. And there isn't. I couldn't do it. I'm eyeballs. They cringe me out.
I'll do it if I have to.
Someone who has someone's gonna have to be there. There's either end. I mean,
either end.
Like,
okay. Hold on a
second. But yeah, no. Seriously, in terms of like what we're trying to get across in this show is we want to really emphasize the story and impact of the show. So that's why it's field stories. I mean, the name, it took a long time to come up, but eventually we got there. And but essentially it's really accurate, because we want the stories of people who have lived and breathed these moments in the jungle, in the savannah, in the Arctic. It could be anywhere in the world, right? So yeah, we really want to bring those stories. So I think that was a good way to start. A little bit of insight into who we are, the sort of stories we would tell. But essentially, we'll be bringing that same humor, the same fun side, but also a lot of education. Right? So not particularly educational today, because we were telling our stories. I'm not sure there was much education there, other than just do some research before you come, or in my case, or you know, I don't know. There's no saving your one, but like,
fair enough.
But in the other episodes, we're gonna have people who have worked in the field for years, potentially with epic stories, but also just knowledge that you'll particularly be able to unpack. And I'll have questions for maybe some of the viewers at home will relate to a little bit more, because I'm not as experienced, so I have questions from the sort of outside world, if you like. So I think that dynamic's going to work really nicely. And we're really looking forward to it. We had a blast today. Very, very messy, but that's what it is for, what do you say, Nick Smith Productions? I heard.
That's
so,
exactly
something like that.
That's what we expect.
It can't be good if it's like that. So thanks Jasper for coming on. The butterflies that kept going around the lens, but essentially that was the first clean cut episode.
Clean, very clean. Totally
clean. But in all seriousness, it was really fun. We had a blast. And if anyone's still listening, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We'll be getting some guests on very soon. We are not going to say who yet, because we're very excited about who we can get on. But there's no set in stone plan.
Yeah, we have I think that's one of the things I'm excited about too, is that we have a lot of different connections between sort of different worlds. Different worlds. And from all over the world. I've got friends who've worked on every continent, and you've got connections and friends, whether it's for cinematography and videography, or, you know, professors or their connections. It's almost limitless, because people have these stories. So I'm really excited to be able to personally meet people more, get to know them better, hear their stories, and be able to share that with the viewers that we get. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. So we're going to sign out now. It's been a blast. Thanks for telling me that story. That's hilarious. I mean, I heard it slightly beforehand, and I didn't know what to expect. I heard the little hook, but my God, it went south, west, north, every direction. I mean, I'm not quite sure what happened there. But, hopefully you enjoyed, and if so, write a comment below, see what you think. We'll really appreciate it.
Quick follow, all the cliche stuff. Give us viewers, please.
If this is going anywhere else, do whatever you need to do. But we've had a blast, so
absolutely
really good. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
See you later.